everyone. Welcome to my online channel, The Palm Leaf. This is the 8th video in the data analytics and visualization series. Today we are going to look at 3 different types of graphs, specifically for the box plot graph, right? So we are going to introduce the box plot and we'll get directly into the action. We are going to just look at 3 different types of box plot graphs in this video. But before I begin, let me just thank some of my friends and colleagues who've come back to me and have given me feedback on how to improve the tutorial sessions. And one of the key points that they have highlighted is that I should keep my sessions very brief and cover limited amount of concepts in a particular session, so that we can retain attention. So I'm going to take that feedback and I'm going to just implement it in this video. We are going to only cover 3 different graphs. All of them are box plots, and I'll try and keep it very brief, right? So if you're watching this video for the first time, in order to make a box plot, you will have to use the ggplot2 package. So you just have to say install.packages within parentheses and put double quotes, and inside the double quotes just mention ggplot2. If you've already installed ggplot2, just call on the library ggplot2, and then we'll get straight to action, right? So I'm going to first run this code for you before I explain what ggplot is. Right, so this is how this is the output of the code, right, that I ran. Now, what is box plot, right? A box plot is essentially something that divides your data set into 4 different quartiles, right? And quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, quartile 4 just represents 0 to 25 percentile, 25 to 50 percentile, 50 to 75 percentile, 75 to 100 percentile, respectively. What I mean by percentile, it's if I were to sequence the data in ascending order, that is, let's say, if you're looking at the compact class, this pink box that you see here, you see that it is going from 15 miles per gallon to somewhere to 24 miles per gallon, right? So if I were to look at all the observations and order them sequentially, my first 25% of the observations will fall within this line that you see just before this pink box, right? So that is my quartile 1. It represents 0 to 25% of my observations. Anything that is between the first line and the mid line in the box, that is my quartile 2. Anything between midline, which is the median, and median is different from mean, as you have already seen in previous videos. Between the median and the line where the box ends is the third quartile, which is 50 to 75 percentile, and the last line after the box ends represents the fourth quartile, which is 75 to 100%, right? So then what you would you will see 3 dots. You'll see stray dots here and there. These are outliers. So a box plot is made particularly excluding the outliers. So what does a box plot do? It actually tells you how the data is distributed across. It just tells you so that you can easily understand how your data is spread across all these quartiles, and then you can make the assumption that just look at the first case itself, right? Your third quartile is very narrow, which means most of the compact cars have got mileage slightly above 20, maybe 20 and 21. Right, so that's indirectly it just shows you the distribution like a histogram of like a histogram would show you. So that's fairly about how this is done. Now let's quickly look at the code. Right, you start off with ggplot just the same way you plot a violin plot. Then you call on the data set. Here we are using the mpg data set, the same data set that we've been using all over the previous videos. It's a data set, just to quickly recap, it's just a data set with different types of car manufacturers and their attributes, like the year of launch, mileage details, fuel type, so on and so forth, right? And then you call on the aesthetic syntax, where you're just mentioning the coordinates x and y. In x, you're actually mentioning the class, which is what type of car it is, pickup, SUV, two-seater, so on and so forth. On the y-axis, you're mentioning the city miles per gallon, which is the mileage. And just to give it a good color and give it a good view, you're going to fill the plot with the class column, right? So that we get to see it appropriately. And you're just going to add geom underscore box plot, right? So in the violin video, you saw that it was geom underscore violin. You're just going to replace that with geom underscore box plot, and you're going to flip the coordinates. You're going to flip the x and y coordinates so that we get this view. right? So we now have class on the y-axis and city miles per gallon on the x-axis, and you can see that it is just filled. I mean, the box plot is there for each and every class, and you can say that it is, I mean, you will see different colors, one color for every class type, right? So I hope that was pretty straightforward. Let's quickly get into the parameters that I use for box plot, and I'm just mentioned, you don't need to be worried about this from line number 198 to 203. I mean, it has got a lot of data, but it is fairly simple, right? This is exactly what you see on line 128 is exactly the same code that we had mentioned in line number 195, but we are just trying to see what all different things you can write inside the geom box plot, right? So that is what is mentioned here. So I'll just quickly run the code, and then we can talk. So you see what has happened here. Now the box plot was a box. Now you see that there is some notching that is happening here, and outliers are being colored in red, and it looks like a faded red, right? And the color of the box plot is some shade of blue, right? So if you look at it, that's exactly what has happened. I'm calling the color as blue. So this is the outline, and I'm going to fill it also with the color blue, and I'm going to use an argument called as alpha. So what does alpha do? Alpha actually, I mean, if you keep alpha as 1, or if you keep alpha high and then you run the code, what happens is it just gives you more depth, right? But if you want to increase the transparency of that color, and if you want to run it again, you see that it has become lighter, right? So that's what alpha does. So this line number 200 just tells you how to color the outline, what you want to fill inside, and how to make it transparent. Right. Now, if you want to just make it, I mean, make it look fancier, you can use the notch command. The notch is the notching that represents here. So the earlier version that you saw, it was like a box. Now you see a small notch, the V, like a V on the top of the box and towards the bottom of the box. This notch is equal to true, and you can set the notch width between 0 and 1. So that actually increases the amount of the V-ness of that box, right? And you can use outlier.color or outlier.fill and outlier.size to play around with this outlier, right? So you can increase the size, and the dot will be of a bigger size. That's it. It's that simple, right? Now coming to the last plot for the video, I'll just quickly run this, and then I'll tell you what is happening. Um, it is the same box plot, but you can see that I am also put in the data points using geom_jitter. So this is like a dot plot. Uh, um, and the difference between a geom point and a geom jitter is that if there are overlapping dots on the graph, geom jitter will slightly separate it out so that we could see all the different points, right? And I'm using the same code here. I'm using ggplot with basic aesthetics and the geom box plot. I'm flipping the coordinates so that I get all my classes on my y-axis. I'm adding the geom point so that I can actually show you how the data is, right? So this is a very unique representation. I'm demarcating the quartiles, and I'm also showing the data, how the data is distributed across those quartiles, right? I'm giving a color red, size is equal to 1, alpha is equal to 0, just for transparency. And what you see here is, if you look at the first line, then you can see that how within every quartile you will almost find the same number of dots, right? So that's how you can quickly make a box plot, and then you can layer it with a geom jitter, which is a dot plot. I hope you found this very interesting. This is a very quick box plot that you can actually make. Thank you very much for watching. Please feel free to put in your feedback on the video so that I can help improve the way I conduct these sessions. Thank you very much.